Hey, what's going on? Todd Shaw with another episode of the Sawdust Dude. Oh yeah, thanks for being here. I'm spitting all over myself.
Listen, some of you told me that you really wanted to start woodworking.
Well, let me tell you, you came to the right place. But before we get started, remember, I want to send a shout out to my good friend David Montang, Army veteran. Appreciate your service, brother. You sent me a message and said, you know what? I want to start woodworking.
And I'm glad you said that.
So let's talk about some of the basics of woodworking. But before we talk about tools, before we talk about lumber, before we talk about glues and finishes, let's talk about the obvious thing, that elephant in the room. Where are you going to start woodworking? Starting out, number one is this. You got to ID your space, identification. Where are you going to work? Some guys like to dream big and say, you know what? I can build a beautiful, nice woodworking shop. Hey, you know what? I'd like one of those too. Can you tell me how to do it? Yeah, I can tell you how to do it. If you got about 10 grand to start out with, because you buy this nice metal building, that's a kit and they'll come out and assemble it for you. But you got to pour a concrete pad, and you got to get permits, and then you got to run electrical. Oh, you want a bathroom out there too? Oh, that's more money. I forgot. You forgot to say that. So you can start to see how it really adds up if you go to that spot. Another possibility may be that you have a shed. I remember my first woodworking shop. My dad built it for me. It was so cool. It brings back happy memories. I think about being in middle school, and I had this 10 by 10 shed that he built, grabbing little scrap pieces of wood and making little projects, and that was a fun place to be. That was my first woodworking shop, 10 by 10. Later on in life, I had a one-car garage, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be my space. But then you have kids, and you got to find a place to park all their stuff. And then my wife's off-season clothes, they were out there. And I had a refrigerator and a freezer. Oh yeah, and then I had a couple motorcycles. So my one-car garage was extremely full. And anytime that I wanted to do some woodworking, it was like drag out the motorcycles, drag out the kids' toys and everything. But you know what? You just make it work. If that's what you have to do to make it work, then that's where you start. Right now, you know, a lot of people think, oh, you're a sawdust dude. You get this massive shop. And I've had other friends about their shops. I know a guy in particular, you know, I asked, who's a YouTuber? And we found out that we kind of live close to each other. He's like a bandsaw wizard. And I said, hey, man, I'll come by your shop and check it out. He goes, you know, it's not that big. You know, it's kind of small. It was a nice 2-car garage that he converted into a woodworking shop. But it works really well. So here I am with this little woodworking shop that's 350 square feet that I call my micro shop, that really, until about 2 years ago, it had gravel floors. I was working off of wood pallets that I had my equipment setting on. But you know what? I made it work. And you know what? I cranked out products. I made money. And as time progressed and I started making more money and my skills got better, guess what? My shop got better. So number one, ID your space. It'd be great if you had this nice, huge woodworking shop full of equipment. Reality, let's do this. Start where you are. Okay? That's where you start woodworking. So make that happen. Number 2 on starting woodworking is fill the walls. So if you're thinking about this, you got a car, so you got a garage, you're working out of a car. Well, you got to put the car in there. Unless you're like 90% of Americans and your car doesn't go actually in your garage, it goes in the driveway. But you still have motorcycles and kids' toys and sports equipment, whatever, but you still make it work. The easiest thing to do is just start kind of filling the walls. I don't care what size shop it is. That's kind of primarily how you fill out a woodworking shop. You can kind of see my shop here. You know, we got stuff along the walls, but remember, when you fill along the walls, I'm just not talking about the bottom. You got to go from the bottom to the top. So I got all types of shelving and going around and going around. And so it kind of looks something like that. So when you start laying out your shop, start filling out the walls. That's where you want and your workbenches and things like that. So storage, workspace along the wall. That way you still have a good spot to put the kids' toys in and the motorcycle and the car and everything else. And so everybody's happy. Along with filling the space, let's talk about this. How about work surfaces? One of the things that I found, and this is a nice workbench here that I've had for about, I don't know, about 7 to 10 years. It is from Harbor Freight. It's a nice little woodworking bench that even has a wood vise on the end. That has worked out really, really well for me. Even comes with some drawers. You can see I got the bottom full of scrap woodworking lumber. Yeah, it works out well. Another woodworking bench idea that you can use is also just taking some nice construction grade lumber. This is pine, or you can use pine or spruce, which is more like white looking. But build you a bench out of construction grade lumber. Make sure that you sand it down real well. The edges are already kind of round. And so just get you some nice straight lumber, sand it down, and build you a little workbench. You can even put a finish on it and just apply some polyacrylic over it. No need to put a stain. It's kind of dusty. No need to put a stain or a paint on it. Just put some polyacrylic that seals the wood on it. So that's another good idea. You can also look online, build you a workbench that folds down. You don't have a ton of space, and so you kind of need to get things tucked up out of the way. Well, you can build a workbench that kind of folds out. Have some nice heavy-duty hinges attached to the wall. The legs fold out. You do your woodworking. It's time to kind of wrap things up, put away your tools, fold the legs up. Boom, bada bing, bada boom, it's out of the way, everybody's happy. In my micro shop, I've got about a 10-foot by 7-foot space. I got 70 square feet to work out of. What helps me in my woodworking shop is this Craig portable workstation. I don't get paid to say this, I just tell you about it because I like it, I love it, and it works for me in any kind of small shop. So it's a great portable workstation. It just real simply folds out, fold up this edge. What I love about the Craig workstation, you got a 27 by 31 work surface that works out really, really well, really durable. You've got nice little pockets right here where you can stick screws while you're still working. You can put little bench dogs, and all this comes with the bench. So you got a work surface that way. And this nice handy clamp, I really, really love this. And you can come here and just clamp it down like that, and your wood stays secure. This is the Craig portable workstation. It is paramount. It's awesome. It really, really works well for garage shops, micro shops, shed shops, any kind of woodworking shop like that where it's like super, super tight. This makes it work even easier. Because when I'm done, just like that, and I got free workable work area again. Do your wall space, you fill the walls up, and even from the ground to the top, which brings us to the final and last point, what others don't tell you, but I do. One of the things that you want to take into consideration is your electrical ability. How many outlets do you have, number one, and two, with those outlets, are they all on one circuit or multiple circuits? Because that really brings up a good question. The big things you need to ask yourself is this, your electrical capability. How many outlets do you have? And here's the big part, are they on one circuit or on multiple circuits? Because here's what happens sometimes, and I've had this happen on the job site. I'm working on a job site. I've got my chop saw, my compound miter saw, which is also hooked up to a dust collecting system. That way when I'm running trim in somebody's house, that it doesn't get dust everywhere. But what I found out is this, especially if it's on an extension cord. If I've got my equipment on an extension cord, it's a heavy gauge extension cord. It draws more amps. And when I cut this on, and my vacuum system cuts on, and then my air compressor cuts on, guess what?
Hello? Hello? What happened to the lights? Hello? That's not a good thing when you're woodworking and the lights cut out on you. You know, you can mess up stock, you can hurt yourself. And what I found out, even like working on the job site, if the air compressor kicks on, I just have to wait. What you want to do is make sure that your equipment is on different circuits. So here's the typical situation, especially when you come along with the electrical. How are you going to heat your shop? Is it heated? Do you have air conditioning? One of the things that you do not want to do, whether it's a window unit air condition or a little space heater, never ever hook either of those items up to an extension cord, because it pulls too many amps and it can really be a fire hazard. So make sure that you follow your kind of guidelines with your electrical outlets, that you don't overload your electrical system. Or for me in my shop, I had the space in my panel box, and I have designated lines for my dust collector. So when that thing's running and pulling a bunch of amps, because it is pretty strong, that I don't have a saw running or the planer running. When I start feeding stock through my planer, it pulls so many amps, and all of a sudden I'm popping breakers, lights are going off, and shuts everything down. So check out your electrical system. Make sure you at least have 2 different circuits in your woodworking shop. And along those same lines, what others really don't tell you, but I'm going to tell you today, is this: you gotta have good lighting. Now, you can spend a bunch of money all at one time on lighting. There are several different options, and in fact, my wife even brought this out about, I've got, or when I had in here originally, you'll see them at Lowe's and Home Depot or online at Amazon. It's a light that you screw into a regular bulb style outlet light fixture, and the panels fold down. And I'll put a picture online now of these LED type lightings that really throw out a lot of flood type lighting. They're LEDs, so they pull less amps and really give you a lot more lighting. And also along those lines, I had fluorescent tubes in here. Now, the thing about fluorescent tube style lighting, you know, you can accidentally take a board, and as you're wheeling it around, hit that bulb, and boom, all of a sudden that fluorescent tube kind of goes out. If your shop's kind of cool, you know, they kind of flicker on and off and just got this weird strobe thing going on. You know, you kind of want to really upgrade your lighting to LED lighting. I found light fixtures at Walmart. They were like $30 a piece, and so I'd buy 2 every week, and I really didn't break the bank that way. I'd buy a couple and then put them up, and then buy a couple more and put them up. And yeah, I had to run some extra outlets up in my ceiling to plug in those lights. But because they pull so few amps, I really didn't put a strain on my electrical system. So you remember, one of the things when you're setting up your shop, really ask yourself about the electrical capacity and also the lighting. Hey, this video all happened because somebody left a comment. So let me encourage you right now to leave a comment below. What do you want to see in the future on the Sawdust Dude? What will help you with your woodworking today? And that's what the Sawdust Dude is all about. Remember, it's learning the skills to get better results. Hey, this is Todd Shaw with the Sawdust Dude. Thanks for watching. Cool deal, and I'll see you real soon. Yeah!